Maja Dahlqvist, how was it racing here at home after the Olympics?
It was really fun to be at home, so I feel like I need the spectators today.
What is your plan today?
Just go hard and hopefully my body is good.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Oskar Opsavike, how is it being back after the Olympics?
I was really looking forward to this, coming back, and also with the bronze medal in the Olympics, so I have a lot of confidence, and yeah, I have my breakthrough here last year, so I hope to do the same today.
And what is your plan?
Go faster than everyone.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Me now. Keegan, can you hear me now? After a 5-day hangover from the Olympic Winter Games in Italy, the FIS World Cross Country comes to Falun, Sweden, the site of next year's World Championships. As a pre-World Championship test, today is day 1 of 2 on this World Cup stop, a freestyle sprint. These athletes have not competed in the freestyle sprint on this course for 3 years. It's been a classic sprint the last 2 times it's been here. You see the king of Sweden is on hand in Falun for this all-important and very quick turnaround from the Olympic Games. I'm Chad Sommel along with Keegan Randall. And Keegan, I think the big question for me is you and I are both kind of feeling the workload of the Olympic Games commentating. How is it for the athletes coming back 6 days after the 50K? How are they going to get through this sprint day?
Well, this is why you train a lot of months to get ready for this race season, because by the time you hit this point in the year, all you want to do is race. I mean, there's absolutely a lot of emotion coming off the Olympics for those athletes that had the performances they wanted. They're riding Cloud 9. For the athletes who didn't have the performances they wanted, this is a chance at redemption, and actually only waiting 6 days and getting going again is going to be the saving grace for them. So I think the World Cup is excited to be back in action and keep racing.
Well, the top qualifier on the day was the Olympic champion, Lynn Swan. No surprise there, fastest time of the day. She looks good going into this, but it's a freestyle sprint compared to a classic sprint. How does this course, let's start with the course and the technique style. Last time they competed in a freestyle sprint on this course is 2023.
It's a little bit different curve. It seems like a pretty small change, but I think it can be or make the speed down to the stadium slower, which means that it's probably more likely that we see the athletes go first and put a high pace already from the middle of the course. So it's a hard course, and but we will see that it's fast conditions today, and it will be challenging in the end.
So we heard a little bit about the course there. Keegan, just going back to those thoughts, how does this course ski differently in freestyle than classic, the thing they've been used to the last few years?
Well, like Theodor Pedersen nodded there, a lot of strategy has come into this Falun course just because when the speed of that downhill is high coming into the stadium, so much drafting, it's such a tactical race. Sounds like they've tried to slow it down today, so we'll see if that plays out. But when you're on the freestyle, it's just a lot more power. Really, it's about the athletes who can utilize that muscular strength to bound up those hills and still have that sprint for the finish. It's coming in around 3 minutes in the qualification, so that should be pretty fast in action. Good. Christine Stavastistad, you know, one of the sprinters who has been in the top, she qualified in 13th. So I don't know what kind of indication that is for us today.
Also, pretty tough start for her for the post-Olympic her post-Olympic efforts.
Yeah, only a 5th place, you know, still made the Olympic final, but I know wanted to, you know, has had such a good rivalry with Lynn Svan, Jonas Sundling over the last few years, and has actually, the last time that they sprinted freestyle on this course, she's been right in there too.
Yeah, she did win last time. It was a freestyle. She beat Jonas Sundling in the final, and Maja Dahlqvist finished 3rd. So the Swedes very good on this course. The Swedes obviously populating the start order. I'm trying to count them here. There's 3 in the last quarterfinal, 2. That's 5, 8, 9, 10 Swedes out of 30. So a third of the field are Sweden.
Well, and of course, this is a test event because the World Championships will be here in Falun next season. So there's always a little bit of hype, you know, to test yourself out on the championship course, even though they're just off of the Olympics.
And there you see the efforts of the Americans in the men's side. Kevin Bolger in there, as well as Jack Young, and he did not get it. He went to the Olympics, but didn't get a start there. And so Jack Young is on the start order, as is Kevin Bolger, who's from just down the road in Borlänge. He and his significant other Maja Dahlqvist live in the area. Borlänge is a city just down the road from Falun, and it's about 100,000 people. Falun about 30,000. So the combined area about 130,000 people in the vicinity. And there's the number 1, the best sprinter in the world, and the Olympic gold medal proves it, Lynn Svan. Nice to see Lotte Udnes-Veng back on the start. She did not make the Olympic team in the Norwegian national team, and that had to be a tough break for her, but she's back and qualified here in her first World Cup pack. And there's Daria Nepraeva, the independent athlete, who's from Russia. She's racing on her own in that independent suit. First quarterfinal of 5, and it features Lynn Svan.
Set.
Off and running in Falun. The World Cup resumes after the Olympics. And Lynn Svan starts it off with Kristina Stavastistad in here as well. She's at this front in the red suit with blue and white trim. Bib 13, she only qualified 13. Deacon, we've seen her qualify lower down the start order and still win. And do you think she has a better chance in this event in freestyle than in classic?
Well, I think she knows how to race this course really well because there is a lot of gliding in that second half. She's really good about putting herself in the right position and using her kind of body size and glide to move into the lead, and then she's a powerful last final 100 meters. So I think for her, what we will see is whether or not the other racers can put damage to her on this first and second climb to try and get distance. But right now she looks quite comfortable in there.
Svan, of course, the Olympic champion. She spent a lot of every year out on the sidelines. She's been injured a lot. She gets ill very, very quickly. But when she's at her best, she is really solid. And she has won this season. She won the Olympics as most recently. She also won in Goms, which was a classic sprint. And she won in the classic sprint in Falun last year on this course. And she leads here.
After that gold medal performance in the Olympics, she did struggle with a little bit of sickness. So I'm sure she's excited to see the #1 on the qualification today to just kind of prove that her body is back and ready to go.
#1 qualifying time was 2 minutes 54 seconds, so quite a bit, almost 30 to 40 seconds, to almost a minute shorter than the Olympic sprint course. It's 2:54. Nice to get under 3 minutes again. So she's sitting in the 4th spot with Svan, Kehara of Finland, then Nepraeva, then Skistad, and then Udnesveng. Lotta Udnesveng, the twin sisters. Neither of them qualified for the Olympic team despite being on the national team. It's been a big talk in Norway that the Norwegian national team athletes have not stepped up to the Olympic level, and the coaching staff is they're going to have to answer to the public if nobody else.
That's right, but look at Skistad. She just glided right up there, kind of moved from 5th position into 2nd now. And like I said, she's got a powerful final 100 meters.
Kehara just sitting on her heels trying to get in for Finland. Maybe as a lucky loser, she can't outswim it on the stretch, but Lynn Svan looks in control of this first quarterfinal. Skistad rarely goes full on in the first quarter, and she looks pretty true to that form right here. So it comes down to Kehara and Lotta Udnesveng to try to get in as lucky losers unless Kehara can move on Skistad, which she doesn't. So Svan comes through in 3:03. Skistad in 3:04.5. Kehara and Veng will go into the lucky loser spot.
Well, I think it was a solid performance in quarterfinal #1. Lynn Svan is usually really good about just kind of skiing just as hard as she needs to, but she likes to control the pace from the front. And Skistad, again, showing that she just tactically knows well how to ski these races and utilize that downhill to move right where she needed to be.
So if you don't remember, we'll just remind you the top 2 times after all quarterfinal heats are done will advance along with all the top 2 finishers in each heat. And that will make up the order of the 12 semifinals. And so far, it's Svan and Skistad in. No surprise there. In fact, it seemed that most people avoided that first quarterfinal heat. Kehara qualified 6th, and she kind of bit the bullet and went against Svan. She's trying to get in as a lucky loser. We'll see if that pays off in the long run. But if you look at the qualifiers in that first quarterfinal, they're 27, 29, and 30 the last 3, and they kind of ended up there by default because they get last choices. Nobody wanted to really go up against Svan, it didn't seem.
Well, if you're a Lynn Svan, you know you're in good shape. You just won the Olympics. But if you are some of these other athletes, you might not be so confident in your form, and so you're thinking, I've got to preserve energy if I'm going to make it through several rounds. That said, if you don't get past the quarterfinals, your day is done. So you got to always take that into calculus.
So we're looking to the second semifinal heat, bib 18 you see there. That is Katerina Yanatova. Had a solid performance at the Olympics. She was 7th in the skiathlon, 15th in the sprint. It was a classic sprint, though. But there is #2, Nadine Fendrick. She had even a better game. She got the silver medal in the team sprint, along with her teammate Nadja Kalin, who came away with 2 medals for the Swiss. And Jasmi Jonsu from Finland qualified 9th today. She finished 14th in the classic sprint at the Olympic Games. And here is Anja Weber, another Swiss athlete. The Swiss team kind of on a renaissance charge here. She was 18th in the sprint in the Olympics, and then this is bib 25, a future star. She did not have a great Olympics. I think this was a real big learning experience for 22-year-old Gina Del Rio from Andorra. Small staff, probably having trouble getting the competitive skis at the Olympic Games for the 22-year-old. She finished just 47th.
Take your start position.
Everybody was looking for Del Rio to become backwards.
Set.
In here as well, excuse me, in the black, red, and gray. Don't lose sight of Lilian Gagnon from Canada, 23 years of age. She was 17th in the 10-kilometer freestyle at the Olympics. Not a solid sprinter, but trying to make her mark here with the 7th qualifying day. And that was kind of one of my big surprises.
Yeah, when I opened up the results this morning, I said, whoa, surprise. But at the same time, the Canadians took a different approach to this season. You know, they stayed home and raced their trials before Christmas, and so really didn't show up on the World Cup till mid-January. And so their team that you see building through the season, getting that high-level race experience, had some really strong results at the Olympics, and now they can carry it into this final month of World Cup.
And Gagnon really not a sprinter by trade. Her best World Cup result individually is a 9th place at the 20-kilometer Master Freestyle last year in Engadine. So that's a pretty solid distance pedigree she's got there as well. And her best, she didn't even race the sprint at the Olympics. So Gagnon, I mean, perhaps is showing really good form right now. She's in the middle of this pack in bib 7.
Well, by this point in the season, it's really about who has the energy left in the season and whose trajectory is still going up and who is flattening out or starting to go down. So you start seeing sprints towards the end of the year, some names that you wouldn't always expect because they just are the ones that have the energy still to go out there hard.
And you look at Gagnon, she raced three events at the Olympic Games. She raced the team sprint, the relay, and the 10-kilometer freestyle. She had a very limited World Cup load before that, so she might be coming into form right now. You see the two Swiss athletes now at the front. You got Nadine Fendrick with a little bit of a lead over Anja Weber. Or maybe a lot of a lead.
Well, you talk about someone who is on the right trajectory this year, and Nadine Fendrich really came out with, that incredible performance in the team sprint at the Olympics to put Switzerland in that silver medal position. And I think she's confident in her form today, and she doesn't want to take any chances. Just want to ski strong and solid out front. Oh, and Yonsu goes down.
She looked like she's getting up pretty gingerly there. Like maybe she heard something, but I was going to say she's the only other medalist from these Olympic Games in this quarterfinal heat. She took a bronze in the distance relay for Finland, but Nadine Fendrick sending a message to Lynn Svan and Christina Stavashista that she's in pretty good shape today. And a gap to Weber, and then it's Del Rio from Andorra. Danielle coming on the outside, trying to get into the lucky loser spot. This may be a pretty quick heat. The 3:04, 3:05 is the time to beat. And it's going to be close for the lucky losers. I think the lucky losers from this heat will beat heat 1.
Yeah, Nadine Fendrick kept the pace hot on that one. And Weber, I couldn't quite tell there if she just got a little overconfident and let up and didn't realize the other racers were riding her heels, or whether she just ran out of gas in that last 50 meters.
Well, regardless, Weber and Gagnon moved past Kehra and Lotte Udnes Veng for the lucky loser spot. They'll move into the they'll be the lucky ones. And then Del Rio and Fendrick move on place. So Gina Del Rio, we were just talking about how she was kind of making a splash. Everybody's kind of anticipating a great Olympics, and really just didn't step up in the Olympic Games. Just didn't have. Oh, there's the fall. There's the fall of Yonsu. Just got on that inside ski a little bit.
Yeah, you come out around that turn with a lot of speed, and I'm sure she was thinking 100 meters down the trail of how she was going to try and make a move past Weber, and lost that attention for just a split second.
So Del Rio with a big charge in bib 25. That's exciting for her. She moved on no matter what. No luck involved there. And there is Yonsu. She's a little bit in pain.
Where did she hit her shoulder?
So Gina Del Rio, the slowest qualifier of that second heat, qualifies second. And the fastest time of the heat so far is set by Nadine Fendrick with 3:01.75. The Time of Svan was 3:03.87. The first quarterfinal heat, maybe a little more tactical.
Tactical for place number 2. But
Yeah,
Nadine Fender's, you know, knowing that she's second in the qualification, that's always the stamp that, like, the body's firing well today. And I think she took no chances and just skied strong and smooth.
There's bib number 23. She did not go to the Olympics. That is Matilda Myhrvold of Norway. Moa Ilar did. Ilar currently ranked second in both the distance and the overall standings in the World Cup. Just raced the skiathlon and the 10K. She was 14th and 11th in those events. So sort of ho-hum Olympics for her in the teens. There's Melissa Gall, qualifying 21st today. She got 2 starts in the Olympics as well. Finished 51st in the 10K green and 26th in the sprint. And here's Märta Rosenberg, who did not show up on the Swedish roster. Not surprising. That's a pretty tough roster to make, but she's still stalled nonetheless. Gets into the quarterfinals today as one of 10 Swedes in these quarterfinals. And then the world number 1, Jessie Diggins, on the start order. She loves Falun.
Yeah, there's a few magic venues for Jessie Diggins. Val di Fiemme being one of them, and Falun being another.
I put toe block in that one as well. In that
Correct.
top 3.
Yeah, I knew there was another one. Yeah.
Jessie Diggins in her final stretch as a World Cup competitor. She'll race here in Falun and then go to the World Cups in Finland and Norway before winding up in the final weekend of March at the World Cup finale in the Classic. We hope to join us then.
One of the nice things when you reach the later stages of your career and you're having some of your best seasons ever, every venue starts to be magical for you. Jessie Diggins has spent enough time on the tour now that she knows, she's done these courses several times, knows tactically how they play out. And I think she's another athlete who is feeling pretty confident in her fitness and knows that putting the pressure on already from the quarterfinals here is her best card to play throughout the day.
Well, one person you want to watch besides Jessie Diggins at the front of this field in the yellow bib is the black German suit with the bib number 11. That is Coletta Ridzik. She's been on the podium twice this season in freestyle sprinting. In fact, she is the freestyle sprint is kind of her bag. That's what she's good at. She's at the back of this group in the black suit behind Moa Ilar in bib 12. Myhrvold and Märta Rosenberg in the second and third spot, respectively, marking Diggins at the front. Myhrvold looking awfully ginger around that sharp right-hand turn.
Well, you can tell the snow, while it's a little bit soft, it's that icy fast. And that is like the hardest snow to navigate and balance, because you've got a variable surface, and then you never know when it's going to speed up.
And when we see this course variable like this in sprints, you hit these turns at such high speed, there's a lot of falling on this course. This is probably one of the most falled upon sprint courses out there.
Well, you have turns, and just especially with skate sprinting where your athletes right next to each other, there's no lanes to really divide things. It's easy for poles to get crossed, and see a lot of speed coming out of that turn.
Yeah, Diggins handled that very well. One of her trademarks is downhill skiing on cross-country skis. She's one of the best, has a great tuck, and she also gets ahead of everybody. There's often a big draft on this downhill.
But Ilar there really works the glide nicely and coming up alongside Myhrvold now.
Now she's moving past Diggins. Diggins gonna hold the best line. Ilar almost steps into Diggins, but Diggins holds her ground. Now has the whole shot into the final turn as well, but Ilar looks powerful. Diggins is gonna have her hands full in this finishing stretch. Can she stay on the top 2 spots? She's got Myhrvold in 23 right behind her, and here comes Coletta Ridzik as planned. bib 11 on the inside in the quarterfinals, already 4 abreast. Who's gonna get to the line first and second? It's gonna be Ridzik for sure. She moves to the lead, and Myhrvold might get Ilar. Ilar throws the foot. I think Ilar second. I'll call Diggins third, Myhrvold fourth.
And that heat is not as fast as quarterfinal heat number 2, so there will not be lucky losers coming out of this one.
Oh, it's almost a good final stretch there.
Holy cow, that actually played out differently than I thought it would. It looked to me that Diggins had made a nice gap, you know, knowing there's so much draft off of that hill. But Ridzik, impressive how patient she played that and was able to come on so strong in the end.
But if you think about the final in Gomes, where she was second, that was a pretty indicative of how Rydzik does it. She hangs back. Look at how far back Rydzik is here under the yellow arc. And she ends up winning the heat. She has got some big jets she can turn on in the final 100 meters, and she does it here. Kind of let the cat out of the bag of what she's planning to do today. I got to hand it to Mette Rosenberg, Bib 24. She gave it a really good fight early on, but ends up sixth.
Wheeler went outside of the V-boards there. That could be an issue.
Well, it looks like that maybe they've adjusted those V-boards a little bit to the left as well since they fall.
Yeah.
Jury might make those calls just based on situational awareness, you know. Did she go? I didn't see that. I didn't see the replay. She went outside the reposition.
She totally straddled at least 3 V-boards.
Okay. Well, we'll watch for that. We'll watch to see if there's a.
But look how Rydzik, she took that wide line, so that allowed her to accelerate off that final turn, and she could build momentum. This finish stretch in Falun is slightly, ever so slightly uphill, so you really got to turn on the power, and ground can be made even in the last 50 meters.
So no yellow card as of yet. Lilian Gagnon and Anya Weber continue to hold the lucky loser spots as Coletta Rydzik and Moa Ilar move on from quarterfinal heat number 3, and Matilda Miracle, Jessie Diggins, Melissa Gall, and America Rosenberg all take a seat for the day and rest up for tomorrow's skiathlon.
Probably not going to be too material today because Jessie Diggins does have a nice lead in the overall, but if Moa Ilar moves forward, then she has an opportunity to claw back a few points on Jessie Diggins in that overall standings.
There is bib number 14, Patricia Eduka from Latvia. She is finding some good fitness here this season. So she's had a couple of frustrating years. You see bib number 10 there in quarterfinal heat number 4. That is Moa Lindgren. This is the red World Cup overall leader bib in the sprint competition. She qualified 8th today. Maya Dahlquist from just down the road in Borlänge skis for the club near Falun here. And Sophie Cradle, 30 years of age from Germany. When she's on, she can challenge. The World Cup best though is an 8th place in Ulrikshamn in Sweden back in 2021. And here is the young Olympian, Mila Grossberghausen Andreasen. Say that fast 10 times. She was in the Olympic Games, got a start, and finished 10th in the classic sprint of the Olympics. This is the one race she competed in for Norway at the Games. Back on the pits here. Andreasen is the athlete on your farthest to the right. Ski is left. Also in this group is Léa Quinton of France. Did not make the Olympic team for the French. Did not compete there in Milan Cortina. Eduka had a really solid Olympics. No medal for that, but she had a 15th place in the 10-kilometer free and 13th in team sprint. So and 11th in the 50K. So Eduka showing that she's got the fitness. She trains with Akadali in Norway for a lot of the year. Coach Jostein Yeri, a really sympathetic figure on the World Cup. He is the proprietor, the main coach of that Akadali team, which coaches athletes from Great Britain. Latvia, on there, Yanatova from Czech Republic trains with that team. Thomas Maloney Westgard from Ireland. It's a really cool project out of Norway. But Eduka is of late maybe showing some signs of overtraining the last year or so, but she's finding that fitness. When you find, Keegan, that you see a lot of those overtraining cases, and they come back and they're really good a couple years later.
Well, I mean, overtraining is essentially, putting your head underwater. If you think about a bobbing cork, and if you can get the rest and recovery right, then that cork can come shooting out of the water, and you can make hay out of it. But if you don't rest and recover properly, and it's not an easy problem to figure out of what that right balance of recovery is, and some athletes actually never come back from that.
Yeah, Gus Schumacher was just talking about that on serious problems on the podcast last week. How he kind of put himself in the hole for a year and kind of worried about it, but now came on the backside of it, has had a couple of World Cup wins, and now is an Olympic silver medalist.
That's what's so
Back down
intriguing
into
about the sport. You know, you can never, you're always trying to figure out the problem just right. And if it doesn't go well, if you're patient and smart, then you can work your way back. But it's not always a given.
Coming down in the stretch, Moa Lundgren leading Maja Dahlqvist. This is Sweden at the front of this field. No big surprise there. Maja Dahlqvist, Moa Lundgren, and then Eduka of Latvia. They're the top three. Gall trying to get in there as a lucky loser, as is Sophie Krehl from Germany in bib 15. But it's Lundgren leading Dahlqvist. Moa Lundgren's World Cup best is 6th. She's been in the final once in her career. She's going to come in trying to outlast a charging Eduka from Latvia. Eduka moves to the left, and she may have gotten her. No, it's photo finish. I think Dahlqvist probably got. Dahlqvist definitely won. Lundgren and Eduka in a photo finish. I think Lundgren may have gotten her, though. But a slow heat, Keegan.
Yeah, I think you could tell that was tactical. I mean, while Moa Lundgren led that one out, Dahlqvist kind of sat right next to her and just kind of watched. It didn't look like anyone was really trying to press the pace early.
So Lillian Gagnon and Anya Weber are loving every one of these slow quarterfinals as they remain in the lucky loser spot from heat number 2. Maja Dahlqvist takes that one, and it looks like Lundgren got her. That's a different kind of throwing of the foot. She's really throwing her weight into the trunk.
And again, it's one of those situations where you're not sure if she did that intentionally. There was a period where the Swedish men had figured out that if they essentially made themselves fall backwards like that a meter or so before the finish line, it would shoot the feet out, and these guys were literally almost projectiles across the finish line with the way they were doing it. And that was the thing for a while, but lately it's gone back to more of the traditional lunge. I think she might have just, the wheels were starting to come off there. She got on the heels a bit, and but the lunge comes through just like she needed it to.
So Sweden adds another 2 to the semifinals. That's 4 now out of 8 in the semifinal. We got 4 more spots to fill here. With 2 from this heat, final heat, and then 2 lucky losers. Gagnon and Weber, Canada and Switzerland in that waiting spot. Bib 26 there you see is Elin Henriksen in just her first 15 World Cup starts. So you see Sammy Smith, bib 19, qualified for the United States, 20 years of age. And she gets a 19th qualifying spot in this quarterfinal. There's bib number 3, Johanna Hagström leading the Swedish charge of this. Yet another Swedish-led quarterfinal heat. And then Julie Bjervik Drivnes. She has been the revelation of Norwegian skiing really this season. And qualifies in the 5th spot today. And her teammate, Julie Muir, bib 16. On the start, and as well as Lisa Ingersson. Don't let those suits surprise you. Those are the club suits of the Swedish athletes not on the national team competing in this World Cup. And the Swedish athletes get more opportunities because they're the host nation. Get more start spots. That's where Ingersson and Henriksen.
Set.
The 2 Norwegians, Drivnes and Julie Muir, trying to take down the Swede, Hagström. There are 3 Swedes in this heat, but you only see the national team suit in the form of Hagström at the front of the field. Sammy Smith, a national runner-up soccer player for Division I Stanford Cardinals. And was training in the wee hours of the day to be ready for the Olympic team, which she qualified for and competed in the Olympics and finished in 19th in the sprint of the Olympic Games at 20 years of age.
Yeah, and at 20 years of age, I mean, she's still very, very young, very much a rookie, but she's actually been in a few of these World Cup sprints now. And I think you saw at the Olympics, just having that experience and having, veteran teammates who have helped, I'm sure, show her the ropes, just makes you feel like you you belong. And every race she does now, she's just going to be racking up more and more experience.
For bib 16, happy with the lead there. That is Julie Muir. Best finish so far this year was 11th in the freestyle sprint in both Oberhof and Ruka. She's been 11th twice this year. That's the best she's done this year. Her World Cup best was 10th in Davos last year. So anything in the top 12 is good for her.
Oh, that corner is getting fast.
Saw Sammy Smith on her inside leg there. I thought she was going to go down, and somebody did go down. It's bib 28. That is Lisa Ingeson of Piteo Ski Team Ski Club. Sammy Smith swinging left and wide, going around bib number 3, Johanna Hagström, and taking the lead. Perhaps sensing she's got the power to get to the finish line first.
Well, she's going to have to really power over the top of the hill, because this downhill, if you don't have the speed coming into it, you are kind of a sitting duck with the draft. But I think she hoped to catch everybody not paying attention, and it will give her the best line.
Clearly that corner is a quick one. They push the B-boards all the way wide as they can, and now Sammy Smith has this Norwegian, Julie Muir, catching that draft that you spoke of, Keegan.
But Sammy did a nice job of actually creating a little bit of space, although Hagström just quickly eats that up. That draft is so powerful off that downhill.
You can see Hagström's familiarity with how she played that downhill into this uphill, and instantly in the second spot, and Sammy drops back to 4th, now 5th. And down the stretch, it's Hagström battling Julie Muir.
And don't count out Drivnes, the 4th place in the Olympic sprint.
Drivnes coming on the inside. She's currently in 3rd. It's Muir to Hagström, and Hagström slowly pulls ahead of Muir, and Muir fading as Drivnes comes and challenges for 2nd. And I think Muir's going to get 3rd. Hagström's going to win it, and Drivnes will go on as well. And it's a slow heat, so the 3rd place will not move on. Julie Bjerregaard Drivnes has been spectacular this season, and that just shows how much she has learned and grown in this first season on the World Cup and in the Olympics.
She is, again, one of those athletes who's on the right trajectory, and that's impressive, because making the Norwegian women's Olympic team was no easy feat, and you had to be in form early in the season, but she's managed to hold a really strong performance at the Olympics and now is following it up here in Falun.
So great performance in the quarterfinals by Drivnes again. Drivnes at the Olympic Games was pretty impressive. She competed, she was 4th in 2 races, so she just missed the medal both in the teams. Oh, there's the fall of Ingeson. That was a rough fall there.
So I think right here is a little, here's our picture of experience versus new to the World Cup, because Hagström was patient. She knew how to come from behind off the draft and get herself moving on. That was a bold move by Sammy Smith. It was great to see her give it a try, but I think had she waited a little bit and tried to come out of the draft, that would have been a strategy that maybe would have kept her a little closer.
And you'll learn that as you go on, but so Sammy Smith will take a seat, as will Jessie Diggins. No Americans into the semifinals, but Canada has Lilian Gagnon from North America. But look at all the Swedish flags moving on to the semifinals. There are 5 of 12 are Swedish. Then you've got 2 Norwegians, and Doran, a Canadian, and 2 Swiss athletes in the semifinals for the women, which brings us up to the men's competition for this beautiful day in Falun. 29. Sasha Mason was not on the Olympic team, but comes from a royalty of Canadian royalty of long-term family tradition in cross-country skiing. Both his parents Olympic skiers from Canada. Federico Pellegrino wearing bib number 3. Nice qualifier for him.
Yeah, that was really great to see him put a good stamp in the qualifier. And of course, he really likes this course. He's been one of the athletes to try and challenge Klæbo on that final 100 meters.
Well, Klæbo's in this one. No surprise there. It's basically Klæbo and Pellegrino, 1st and 3rd qualifier, against the bottom of the qualifying pack. Lars Hagen, who was absolutely a star prior to the Olympics, did not go to the Olympics, where his teammate Vike made the team. And there's Kevin Bolger from just down the road. He's from Monaco, Wisconsin, to be fair and Midwestern about it, but he does live in Borlänge, just down the road from here. And skis for Team Berkey and the Borlänge Ski Club. And you see here, and his good training partner and friend, Anton Grahn. Qualifying 30th. I'm kind of surprised to see Grahn that far down. Almost didn't qualify.
Just based off of qualifying, this is a really interesting heat. You have the fastest qualifier in Klæbo. Pellegrino qualified number 3, and then we go all the way down to 26, 28, 29, and 30.
Yeah, and in that group is Grahn, who's been very good recently. He is the junior world champion in the classic sprint last year in the U23 category in the World U23 Championships. He's got a good junior pedigree. He won the junior world back in Whistler in 2023 at the under 20. He's the guy at the front of the field.
And of course you have Lars Hagen, who is the current U23 leader in the green bib. Did not make the Olympics, and so he's got to be coming into this race with a little fire in his belly.
And Grahn a little bit better at the freestyle sprint historically than the classic, but still finished 10th in the Olympic Games in this event in the classic style. So he's no slouch at, even though he's young and a little wet behind the ears compared to Klæbo, he is of high pedigree and can compete. Grahn leading Klæbo, then Pellegrino, Hagen, Sasha Mason, and Bolger in the last spot. Bolger knows this course very well, trains here a lot. That's probably his home training ground, really. Grahn forcing the pace now. Klæbo seems to be comfortable letting him flex his muscle at the front, just marking him, as is Pellegrino. Hagen in that green bib, a U23 leader. And Hagen only qualified 26th. That's kind of a surprise. All 6 skiers execute that final turn well. And it is a Swede Grahn as Klæbo now tuck skates past him on the outside. Pellegrino in tow as well. Watch for Pellegrino to strike if he's got any kind of power left. He's good on this finishing stretch.
It's all about crucial lane choice right at this point.
Klæbo free skating and going wide like you said, Keegan. If you want to know how to ski a course, just watch where Klæbo goes. And he went wide against the fence, and he carried his speed the best. Grahn now with a push, and Hagen sneaks in there ahead of Pellegrino and Grahn. Pellegrino now looks like he may have finished 4th.
Yeah. Hagen was very smart. He let everybody fade wide off that turn, made a push to the inside, and then just really impressive acceleration with about 75 meters to go. And then Grahn got on his heels just a little bit, probably feeling the effort of having led that whole heat.
Yeah, what do you think of that strategy, leading the whole heat in Falun?
I think it's risky. I think if you're Lynn Svan or an athlete who are just feeling really confident. I mean, Fendrich, we saw her do that quite well. But everyone else, it's really hard to get enough of a gap over the top. You got to burn a lot of energy to do so. This is such a strategic course. But someone's got to lead. So it's when you're in the mix. Sometimes you get excited and you go for it. But here Pellegrino had the benefit of being in the draft, and he wasn't able to execute it quite as well as Klæbo did there.
No, who can execute anything as well as Klæbo? That's the question. Is he wins in a time of 2:42.17? Just to put that in comparison to his qualifier, he ran 2:33.9 in the qualifier, so quite a bit slower. It could be conditions though. Different time of day. There you see the heat number 2, which features the American and Olympic silver medalist Gus Schumacher, qualified 8th today. And how do you think that sets him up for the day as we look at Martina Carollo?
Gus's results have been really, really strong and consistent. I know he didn't open the Olympics as well as he wanted to, but the way he skied in that team sprint, I think sets him up really nice for today.
Shanava, second fastest time. What about him?
Well, Shanava, we thought, you know, might be a factor in the Olympics, but he qualified well, and that's a really good signal for him. He skied really well on this course, so he's got to have a good, strong posture in this quarterfinal.
Shanava has to break into the Pellegrino-Clabo mix if he wants to move on. Gus Schumacher in there. Jan Stolben qualified 4th for Germany. It's his best qualifier ever as a World Cup competitor. And then bib 25, Emil Danielson for the home team. He qualifies in the 25th spot.
Take your spot position.
For Sweden. Nor was the man to his right.
Set.
So in this heat, three Swedes, a German, an American, an Italian, and a Frenchman. Shanava being the fastest of the qualifiers of this group. The Italian Martino Carollo won a medal in the relay at the Olympic Games, bronze for him. That's a huge feather in the cap for the Italian team.
It was a big performance to deliver that relay medal at home games.
Schumacher at the back in bib 8. Taking the silver with Ben Ogden in the team sprint, which is freestyle. And he seems to be playing the patience game. He's watched the best Swedes come around this course and finish strong from the back of the field early on.
Well, there's so many tactical turns on this course that I think if you are patient in this opening third of the race, save a little energy and then push hard over the top of the hill, there's just really good opportunities to move around.
And now suddenly Carolla at the back of the field. Barely hanging on there.
Barely hanging on, and the bib number 19 came a little close to Schumacher there.
Eric Johansson, his club suit. I believe that might be the Borlani suit, but it looks like the colors. Black, white, and orange. And into the big downhill they come, and it is the Swede, bib 25. That is Emil Danielson, the slowest qualifier of the group. Stolben, the 4th fastest qualifier, right near the front with Shanava there in 2nd and 3rd. And it's Schumacher in 4th, Carollo in 5th, and bringing up the rear is Eric Johansson, who hasn't really figured into this. We've not spoken of him much, but they are according up right into the uphill. Gus Schumacher's got to get past Danielson to get his skis to be able to flare out and skate because he was pinched against the B-boards there. Carollo suddenly in the mix as well. It's into the stretch. It is Gus Schumacher in 2nd spot, marking Lukas Shanava, the 2nd fastest qualifier. Carollo challenging as well in the light blue.
This is where Schumacher's technique, using that really low skate without poles. He's really good at building momentum off of the downhill.
Schumacher's going to come in and either be 1st or 2nd. Looks like Shanava got him by maybe an inch, and Schumacher will move on in 2nd spot as Carollo just back in 3rd. Will not advance, and the time is slower than the first heat, so Pellegrino and Gran will stay in the lucky loser spot. So Shanava and Schumacher are the athletes who will move on to the semifinals.
So I think we saw that tactically executed really well by Gus Schumacher. Saved energy in that opening hill and was ready to pounce. You've got to have fresh legs off this downhill because being able to stay low and really accelerate with your legs can make all the difference in the world, and he did that quite well.
Shanava, no stranger to the podium. He has 6 World Cup victories and 28 podiums to his career, and he's a junior world champion as well. So Shanava, kind of wondering how long he's going to keep going. I mean, he's not really made any distance on Clabo, but he still remains relevant in the sprinting world. There you see the start list for quarterfinal number 3, and it is a who's who of not big names. Probably the biggest name in this one is Evan Nortug. You recognize his name mostly from his brother's pedigree, but he's also very solid. David Gratz will qualified 6th today. That is a very solid qualifying performance by him. Matthias Holbeck, who got into this start position through the Scandinavian Cup results. He's psyched. Just his 6th World Cup start, 22 years of age. Holbeck seems pretty happy. Bib 12, Yannick Riebly. This is probably the guy who has the biggest pedigree of this field. Largely him and Nortug. And Joni Mäki, who I should say is as well, he's got a Olympic and a bronze, or Olympic silver and a World Championship silver in the team sprint. So Mäki is capable, but very hit and miss on his form. And this is Evan Nortug, who heartbreakingly didn't make his Olympic team, and he's looking for some revenge today, I think. And Marcus Grotte also did not make the Swedish team for the Olympics, and trying to do something here to kind of make his season a little sparkle a little bit more before it ends. Oh, man.
Take your start position.
Sort of a retribution quarterfinal for this season.
There.
Everybody here looking for something special that they haven't had yet this season.
It's so hard. I mean, the Olympic team, especially with the quota situation this year, you know, it's only up to 8 that the teams could take. And when you have these nations with a lot of depth, that means some really top skiers get left off the roster. But they've got to just keep their cool, because there is a full month of World Cup racing now, and they can still shine. And again, they're testing out the course here in Falun that will be used at the World Championships next year. So they want to kind of show that they can ski strong and demonstrate good tactics on this course.
And I shouldn't sell this group short either. Riebly, Mäki, Nortug, Grotte all have World Cup podium finishes. They're not sludges by any means. But
They're
none
just
of them
not the
have had,
big names we're used to.
Right. And they haven't had great seasons, to be fair. None of the athletes in this, I think even Riebly, who has had a solid season, I think he was hoping for a little bit more from the Olympics. But here's a chance now to move into the finals, or semifinals, for 2 of these 6 athletes, if not 4, to get the lucky loser and keep the pace honest. And it is the least experienced athlete out there, Matthias Holbeck, in the lead. And at this point in the course, I always kind of get quizzical with the youngsters when they're leading on a course so tactical like this, in a place that it seems like most of the people who end up winning the heats rarely want to be at this point. But they're not sitting in a chair from home, looking at it like you and me from home either.
Well, and when you're young, you just feel inspired, and sometimes you make these split-second decisions to go to the front. It's exciting, it's thrilling, maybe not the smartest move, but you have to learn through experience.
So let's see if Matthias Holbeck can shut me and Keegan up from our seats and take the win here in this quarterfinal number 3 in Falun. He's been leading at the point where most people who have won the heats have not been leading, but he maintains the lead into this downhill, and Riebly is going to probably catch a draft on him, and he does. You can see him inching up on him, on Holbeck. So Holbeck gets overtaken by Riebly, but he's the only one. Holbeck is a great junior. He's got 5 junior world championship titles, county relays, 4 individual world junior championship titles, and U23. So he is seasoned at the junior level, but it's a step up to the World Cup, and he may be proving that he's ready for it today, but he's going to get challenged by his teammate Nortug and Joni Mäki. Holbeck inches into the lead, and Nortug with a late charge is going to take the whole thing. Or Holbeck, one of the two.
I love this course for the drama it provides. I mean, you just see so many different game plans playing out. And I mean, Holbeck did a really good job of pushing hard over the top. It looked like he had enough of a gap. Only Riebly was able to follow him, but Nortug comes on with a really strong. And I think the mistake that Holbeck made is he let that outside lane open.
Yeah, 22 years of age. Just 6 World Cup starts to his name. And he's going to move on to the semifinals.
Ooh,
and
he might have gotten it with the lunge.
Yeah, I think he might have gotten it. It might be Holbeck who Holbeck is declared the first place finisher now on the results. So it's Holbeck and Nortug moving on. doesn't really matter who came first necessarily unless it comes down to ranking. But they show Evan Nortug is 200ths of a second slower than Holbeck. Holbeck moves on, as does Nortug. And Yannick really sneaks in as a lucky loser. He pushes out none other than Federico Pellegrino. So Chico Pelle's out for the day.
That's too bad. We're looking forward to seeing him be in the mix.
We always are. Everybody loves Chico Pelle. So 3 of the 5 quarterfinals from Falun for the men are complete. The women are done. They have the semifinal coming up after these next 2 men's quarterfinals. So far qualified is Johannes Klabo, Lars Hagen of Norway, Lucas Chanava, Gus Schumacher of the United States, Matthias Holbeck, and Evan Nortug. So pretty Norwegian-heavy semifinal stacked up so far. Three Americans, I should point out again, that 3 Americans made it to the quarters. Kevin Bolger finished 6th in the first quarterfinal heat. Schumacher is currently in the semifinals. And Jack England will in the final heat. But in the meantime, there's the 4th quarterfinal heat, and there's number 23, Jules Chapaz. George Ersson of Sweden with a huge qualifier. 7th qualifying for George Ersson. Not really a mainstay of the World Cup. And then Oskar Opstad-Vike, the bronze medalist from the Olympic Games, 22 years of age, qualified 10th. A lightning rod of skepticism of the Norwegian public when he was named to the Norwegian Olympic team, and he proved them all wrong with the bronze medal. Emil Liekari of Finland in here, as well as Simone Mocellini, who we did not identify. Mocellini, more of a classic special sprinter. He qualifies today in the 14th spot, which is solid for him in the freestyle. Mikhail Novak of Czech Republic, or Czechia as we call it now. Qualified 21st. This is your 4th of 5 quarterfinals in Falun. Chad Salma, Keegan Randall bringing you action from this Olympic hangover week right into Falun. Also the Norwegian, or the Swedish Vasaloppet happening today, which is drawing a lot of attention, probably drawing a smaller crowd because of it, because the Mora Vasaloppet just down the road in the same town, near the same town, in Mora, both of them part of Dalarna, this province of Sweden, but it's 90 kilometers from Sälen to Mora. Long traditional classic ski race.
So much ski racing, so little time.
in Dalarna, Sweden. Dollar horses galore at the Mora Vasaloppet, but in the meantime, in Falun, just down the road in Dalarna, is the World Cup cross-country sprints being led by the young Swede, George Ersson.
Despite the fact that the Vasaloppet is going today, I mean, look at the crowds. This is a pretty solid crowd for Falun.
Yeah, it's a good-sized crowd. Ersson's best World Cup finish. Tying his 2022 best in the sprint in Drammen. He had a 12th place, equal to his best in Goms right before the Olympics in his classic sprint, but then sat out the Olympics. So George Ersson getting his first races since that Goms World Cup at the top level, and he's leading so far, wired at a halfway mark. Olympic 10, that is Oskar Opstad-Vike, Olympic bronze medalist in the classic sprint. Mocellini and Jules Chapaz, the two sprint pedigree specialist kind of guys at the back, are in 5th and 6th. See if they can use their magic to do what others have done, coming late, swinging up on Ersson and Joni Mäki, who's now taking the lead for Finland. But Ersson gets the whole shot around him and slingshot past him. Going to beat him to the turn, and Mäki will take the best line, but Ersson goes wide, and we see Klabo do that. Stays on the outside to keep his speed up and not have to slow down for the tighter turn.
Yeah, it really allows you to build momentum. Watch out for Vike here, and Novak.
So George Ersson trying to take it home for the Swedish team, getting the cheers of his home crowd. And here comes Vike, the bronze medalist. He's going to charge up the inside. He finds a hole between Chapaz and Ersen. And it's going to be close between Vike and Liekari. Actually, it's Liekari. I thought that was Joni Mackie. I miscalled him. My apologies. But Liekari in there. I think he was. Not sure if that's correct. He got Joni Mackie on the start list. So, well, Liekari replaced Mackie. That's what.
No, it was Mackie was in the third quarterfinal.
Sorry, yeah, my bad. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Apologize for the confusion there.
Well, and I thought it was Novak coming up on the home stretch, but it was Chapaz.
Chapaz, yeah. Sorry. We're getting our suit, trying to get our suit recognition back, but the fins all look the same. But anyway, Liekari will not move on regardless. So even though I got him wrong with his teammate Joni Mackie, Liekari will finish in third and will drop out for the day. Meanwhile, Oskar Opsadvike maintains his Olympic bronze medal pedigree in second spot and moves on with George Ersen from Sweden. Huge. This could be a huge race for Ersen to get his World Cup best. Ersen currently ranked 34th in the World Cup sprint standing, so not a real surprise, but still it's high output for him for sure.
Yeah, VK was almost in trouble there, stuck behind Ersen, but he did a nice job of getting over just in front of Chapaz to get a lane and make the lunge.
Well, Ersen now guarantees his another tie for his World Cup best. He's been 12th twice. This is going to his worst case scenario is 12th, but he wins the quarterfinal heat number 4 here in Falun. And getting a good look at the final of these quarterfinal heats, you see a familiar name there, Philip Skari from Norway. Can that name ring a bell?
Is he related to a one Bentaskari, perhaps?
he might be. He might be her son.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Bentaskari, of course, one of the probably ranks in the top 10 of greatest women skiers of all time, if not top 5.
Well, Philip Skari,
in her prime, right as I was getting started.
Philip Skari, at 21 years of age, is 3-time junior world champion already. So he is carrying on. One of those is a relay, but he was junior world champion last season in the sprint classic. Of course, Skari is a famous great classic skier. You see Benji Moser has one podium to his career. He's 21st here in 2025 in the classic sprint, but much better freestyle sprinter. Here's Eric Bergström, age 20, skiing for his club. I'm not certain, but I think he's Anders Bergström's son, who was a Olympic skier for Sweden back in the 90s. And this is Jack Young in the United States from Colby College. The Colby Mules.
Take your start position.
Young, officially Olympian, but did not get a start.
Set.
So he's fresh and ready. Been 22.
It is. So the trick is sometimes at the Olympic Games, it's hard to train because the competition courses are in use every single day. But there were some good tracks up in Paso Lavasse, and so yeah, look out for some of these guys who are coming off the Olympics so fresh.
Phil Skari wasn't at the Olympics at all, but he's certainly he's capable of a lot here. A name I think we'll want to watch as the years go on. Just a world-class pedigree and also junior world championship title already. And let's not forget Jaume Pueyo. Jaume Pueyo is bid 5 from Spain.
Broke a pole.
Oh, and he's at the back. Just as we mentioned, we got the Chad Salma announcer's curse. Pueyo's going to need a pole. Looks like he's going to get one right here. But it's so challenging to get back on when you lose a pole.
Well, and he's one of those pure sprinter type guys, so he's got to be careful not to burn too many matches up this first climb. Just kind of calmly get himself back in the mix here.
Lots of sprinter types in here, including the young Czech athlete, Yuri Tuz. 21 years of age. Also, lots of things in the Olympic Games in sprint. Team sprint in 8th, and classic sprint he was 5th. Tuz not on the medal stand yet, but he's close. Bib number 9, you want to keep your eye on him. The young Czech athlete, 21 years of age. When you're 5th in the Olympic finals, you're no longer wet behind the ears.
No, definitely not.
Czech really looking for they have a strong young team. They've got Lucas Bauer's young son Matias in there as well. He's 21 years of age.
Oh, and Puyo goes off around the V-boards as well, just like we saw Mo Ilar.
That corner continuing to be a problem. Keegan's got the keen eye for that corner. Jack Young has a pretty keen eye for slingshotting up onto the Norwegian and the Austrian in the front. That is Benji Moser, Bib 17, leading. And it's Philip Skari, then Jack Young. 242.661 is the time of Anton Grahn to get in as the lucky loser. If Jack Young doesn't move up, he's going to need to be inside that time to move on, because it is Moser and Skari 1 and 2. Jack Young will come in third, but it'll be it for today because he's at 244.0, which is about a second and a half shy of where he needed to be. But a good solid day for Jack Young, coming in 22nd qualifier. Can Benjamin Moser get on the podium for Austria?
That'd be a big day for him, but he's certainly shown signs of being in the mix.
He had a second place not in the sprint, but you would have thought it would have come in a sprint, as Moser's mostly a sprinter, but he did great in the 5K mass start in toe block during the Tour de Ski. His only podium finish individually. He was second in that to Gus Schumacher, and was in that heat with him. You see the handing of the pole to Poyet, the Spaniard. We'd like seeing Poyet go. Oh, he's way outside. What do you think, Keegan? Is that going to get a yellow card?
I mean, the rules are supposed to be that if you leave the course, which the V boards officially mark the edge of the course, if you leave the course, you have to re-enter it at exactly the point that you left it. But what the jury, there's, I think, a new rule this year that's kind of really looking at, did the athlete gain an advantage?
Right.
And that's what happened to the French athlete in the skiathlon at the Olympics, Deloge, because he was kind of head down, came around a turn, almost took the wrong lap lane, cut through the V-boards, but it was determined that he did not gain an advantage, and therefore they let the result stand.
You could say the same thing about Mo Ilar in her heat. She went wide and she has not seen a yellow card. I think that's probably the logic that the jury is applying to the situation, meaning that the conditions are very fast in Falun right now. You can see it going into that turn. So it's up to the jury to make a reasonable decision for the athlete's sake, whether it's fair or not to give a yellow card, or to say that it's their fault for getting off course. In a lot of respects, it's a course issue. If it carries too much speed that they can't physically stay on, or could possibly get hurt by it. On to the women's semifinal nonetheless. This is going to be a good one because some of the biggest names in women's sprinting history are in this one. And anytime that happens, you've got to be excited because you see next, you start with Skistad and then you go to Fendrick. Fendrick's hot right now, has a medal from the Olympics. Lynn Swan, nobody hotter. Of course, it was classic sprint that she won in the Olympics, but she can do it both techniques. It's very powerful. And Coletta Ridzik. Is there anyone more labeled as a skate sprinter than Ridzik? She's got that fast finish, and she's been using it to her success as of late. Then Gina Del Rio, somebody everybody wants to see grow into a great champion from Andorra. Qualified 25th and is in the semifinals. That's a good start to her day. And then Lilian Gagnon. A little bit of everything for everybody here in this first semifinal. Youth and inexperience and athletes emerging against some of the best
Take your start position. Set.
Keegan, you were Del Rio and Gagnon at some point where you're still finding your footing as a young sprint skier. What do you do to shake off that ability, thinking you can't beat a Skistad or a Fender or a Swan?
You just have to go into these heats with kind of a really open mind. I mean, it's when you don't have as much experience, it's hard to formulate a game plan. You're reacting a little bit around to the skiers ahead of you. But if they've done a good job of observing the quarterfinals, they should note that there is so much happening in the last bit of this course, and we saw Del Rio that just slipped there. So I think they want to stay right in the pack, but they're better served to let some of the veterans lead out here. What's interesting is Svan and Fenrich were so strong in leading their quarterfinals, and you wonder if they're going to be a little bit more coy here against each other.
Del Rio and Gagnon both have Junior World Championship gold medals, although Gagnon came in the form of a relay in France in 2024. Del Rio took several medals at the Junior World Championships, including a victory in the sprint. She's at the back of the group though now, 25. Thinking, how does an Andorran compete on ski? How do they get her the ski she needs?
Well, I mean, that is the big story, right? The bigger teams have a lot more resources to put into skis, and you see how much glide matters in a course like this, and so you've got to have competitive skis. But I think the small nations sometimes benefit from some collaboration with the bigger teams. So I don't know what the specifics are, but hopefully they're getting some support there.
At the front of the field, you got Lynn Svan at the front on the right. Nadine Fendrich hop skating past her. Fendrich, the first, second qualifier behind Svan. A little bit of a gap to Skistad. We saw her, and look at Rydbeck way at the back. They're fourth and fifth, with Del Rio shelled off the back of this group. At the front, it's Fendrich forcing the pace. Svan now moving past her, and Gagnon in the third spot.
Look at the skis for Sweden, though. Boy, Svan just went right past Fenrich there.
Fenrich doesn't look like she has any better skis than the Canadian, and Skistad now is in the mix as well as Rydbeck. 5 of the 6 athletes now. It's still challenging. Svan's got a little bit of daylight, but it's pretty tight quarters to get around this corner, and this is a critical corner to get your spot into the finishing stretch. Svan's got the pick of the litter.
Again, here's where lane choice matters.
Svan looks left, sees no challengers. Man, here comes Skistad. Fendrich doesn't look like she's got the power Skistad does. Svan starts to pick it up, starting to sense that Skistad's moving on her.
Rydbeck coming up, but doesn't have the space to really get through.
And I still think Skistad is just doing the bare minimum. Maybe I'm wrong, but Svan looked good there, as did Skistad. But I don't think anybody has shown their cards fully. I don't think Svan or Skistad were absolutely all out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Skistad got a little bit lucky when she came out of the draft right into that last corner hill. Gagnon was in front and could have shut her down, but she wide. She left a lane open to her right, and Skistad was able to glide right in there and just conserve energy and save it for that last 100 meters. So yeah, Skistad does not look like she is stressed at any point yet.
Svan wins again, and she moves on to the final. So it's Svan and Skistad, and it's Fenrich and Rydbeck hoping to move on. I was kind of surprised that Rydbeck didn't have more in that finishing stretch. So maybe I'm wrong. maybe Skistad's a little more on the edge than I think she is. But needless to say, that was a pretty tight semifinal. Oh, and there's the problem with Del Rio. I was wondering where she went, but clearly fell. Well, good experience for her. So Nadine Fendrich and Coletta Rydbeck will have to wait to find out if they're in the final. Rydbeck qualified 11th on the day. Fendrich qualified 2nd.
Lynn Svan making it look cool and easy.
Yeah, she didn't look completely on the nail there either. She didn't look like she'd been pushed. She was going all the way into the hole. And here is the second semifinal of 2. You got Svan and Skistad into the final. Fendrich and Rydbeck waiting to see how slow this next heat goes. But this is Drivenes of Norway. Maja Dahlqvist, the World Cup leader in the sprint category, who did 8 in red bib. Moa Lundgren looking for a podium, something to hang her hat on this season. She did not get to go to the Olympics for the Swedes, which is the hardest team in the world to make, so nothing lost on that for Moa Lundgren, but looking for an opportunity here. But she's got to go against 3 of her teammates, who are the toughest team in the world to beat, as well as Julie Bjervik-Drivenes, arguably the hottest Norwegian on the circuit right now in terms of coming from out of nowhere last year to being a major name in world-class cross-country ski racing. And don't forget Anja Weber and Moa Ilar. Moa Ilar currently ranked second in the overall World Cup standings. Ilar not a sprinter by trade. No podiums in the sprint this year. Her best so far was the 5th in the freestyle sprint in Oberhof right before the Olympics. Anja Weber.
Take your start positions. Set.
Second 2 semifinals to get to the final and to join Lynn Svan and Christina Stavro-Skista. It's 4 Swedes, a Norwegian and a Swiss skier. Weber has the medal from the Olympic relay. She was not on that. It was a team sprint. She was seventh. Weber trying to take down, trying to go to the finals with her teammate. The problem is Nadine Fendrick is sitting in the lucky loser spot. It might be her or Weber.
Yeah, it's always tough when you know you're going to be knocking out a teammate.
Pretty good chance some Swedes are going to be in that final, though.
Yeah, no loss there. So Lundgren led out her quarterfinal just like this. Dahlquist happy to follow. Hagström being patient.
There's Maggie Kalin who took the medal with Fendrick in the team sprint. But Anja Weber, her teammate now, makes a bit of a move in the middle of this course. This is a bold move. Perhaps her feeling like less of a sprinter and more of a distance skier trying to stretch it out.
Well, and one of the, when the heats get so tactical like this and you know you have such a decisive downhill coming up, you know everyone's kind of waiting, so making a move could sometimes work. You can just catch everybody sleeping and get enough of a gap, but we have seen very big gaps get eclipsed off of this downhill.
Moa Lundgren seemed to sense the same thing, and then all of a sudden, Maja Dahlqvist is right on your heels again. This is Moa Ilar and Johanna Hagström in bib 3. And when you're double-digit bib and you see a bunch of single-digit bibs coming up on your back, you know you're in trouble. It means you're qualified outside. Well, she's 20th. Anja Weber is the 20th fastest person around the course against the clock earlier today, and got a bunch of single digits coming up on her.
Sizable gap right now, but watch how quickly it closes up.
Lundgren has seemed to hitch her wagon to the Swiss. She's thinking this might be the way for her to get to the final. Meanwhile, behind her, Hagström, Dahlqvist, and Ilar all vie for position up this final climb. Weber's still holding on to the lead, but kind of looking like she's tiring.
And this is where that spending that energy on a climb can really come to haunt you, because if the legs stiffen up on this last 100 meters, you can't accelerate against your challengers.
Hagström goes wide, scrubs no speed, and Dahlqvist goes wider up against the fence, but does she have room? In the meantime, Weber just tuck skating all the way to the finish line. He finally applies her poles, but it's going to be too little too late because the Swedish freight train is coming by her, and it's going to be in the form of Johanna Hagström and Maja Dahlqvist, but close was the Swiss, but probably not close enough. And it's definitely not fast enough. 3:06 is 2 seconds slower than the lucky losers, so whoever is third in the end between Weber and Dahlqvist will sit out. I think Dahlqvist got Weber, though.
Weber held on better than I thought she might. It was the wheels that were definitely coming off there, but she kept it together.
Moa Lundgren pops up definitely fourth. We're still looking at a photo between Dahlqvist and Weber to see who goes on to the final. And of course, Maja Dahlqvist trying to hang on to the lead of the World Cup overall standings. She's got 61 points on Nadine Fendrick to hang on to that red bib for the sprint lead, and Fendrick is trying to move on to as a lucky loser, and she will. And Dahlqvist gets in by the narrowest of margins. She beats Weber by 3/100ths to get through and challenge Fendrick for those points. if Dahlqvist had been beaten by Weber, it would have been a kind of reverse of what the Swedes did to Fendrick a few years back when Fendrick was in position to win right here in Falun.
Yeah, Dahlqvist and Fendrick have just had some epic battles in the overall.
It was in Lahti actually that happened, but the little bit of team tactics to help Dahlqvist beat Fendrick for that overall globe in Falun or in Lahti. Close up
where Dahlqvist came from there to come up even.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. She looked like she was out. I kind of thought that at the corner she wasn't going to get there, but look, there was no space there, and she knew it, so she had to kind of like narrow her stride and realize she wasn't going to beat Hagström, but she could get second if she just tucked in behind her, which is what she did. That's what really well, you know more than anything, that's the pedigree of a sprinter there.
You have to be able to keep your cool, in the split-second moments. And with this finish stretch, the momentum matters so much. And Dahlqvist is just tactically always seems to make smart decisions that way.
She might be the best current tactician right now in sprinting. She's probably not the most powerful, but I think using what she has, she almost maxes it out. So there is your final. Only three Swedes.
Only 3 Swedes, yeah. And of course, no Jonas Sundling today. Didn't start the 50K at the Olympics, so maybe struggling with some illness and just taking her time coming back.
No, there's actually I read in the I think it was in the EG or one of the Norwegian people that she was not going to race because she was still ill. It was the same thing that kept her out of 50K. And she was trying to just get healthy. So on to the men's semifinals. Our women's final is set. Svan, Dahlqvist, Hagström, Skistad, Fendrick, and Ridzik will be the names in the women's final. Who will populate the men's final? We're about to find out in the next 10 minutes. Gus Schumacher. Looking for some more hardware in a landmark season for him. Olympic silver medal has a pretty good ring to it. Lars Heggen trying to prove that he should have been the guy taken to Milan Cortina. So far, it's been tough with Vika matching him stride for stride and taking the bronze at those games. And Anton Grahn from bib 30, can he get it to the podium from bib 30? It's one of the greatest things I love about sprinting is when bib 30 winds up in the final racing for the win.
Set.
Semifinal number 1 of 2 in Falun as the day winds down on this Saturday in Falun. Chad Salma, Keegan Randall bringing you this post-Olympic World Cup action from Falun, this landmark course. The World Championships having been held here no fewer than 4 times prior in 1954, 1974, 1993, 2015, and now next year, 2027, will be the 5th time the World Championships will happen on these hallowed trails. And this is a sneak peek at next World Championship competitions, where most of these athletes know this course.
They redesigned these courses in the 2013 season ahead of those 2015 World Championships. And it was actually the final World Cup races of the season were in Falun, and when the athletes tested out the courses, there were some big problems. So they actually had to completely go back and reroute some of the things. But they ultimately came out with some really great championship courses that the World Cup now benefits from every season.
It's a classic. It's not considered necessarily the most difficult in terms of total climb, but the Mörderbacken is really it's a famous hill here in Sweden, in Falun. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, young Anton Grahn trying to put Sweden on top of the Sprint World Cup map, but he gets supplanted very quickly by Shanava and Klabo, two of the best who have ever done it.
Well, and Klabo has been taking a different line than everybody else on that curve. He stays very wide, cuts inside, and that allows him to really accelerate nicely up the right-hand side of that climb and put him. He got the position right behind Shanava there.
Klabo gives just enough skate pushes to get the draft of Shanava. I mean, just watching him, every decision he makes is almost perfect. Well, it is perfect. Klabo now into the lead. No surprise there. Shanava and then Hagen in the green bib for Norway in third. Trying to get into the lucky losers, bib 11. That is Mathias Holberg, 21-year-old Norwegian junior world champion. Klabo touch skating to the finish line, and Holbeck is challenging Shanava, and I think he's got the Frenchman on the ropes. Shanava gonna have to try to get onto the lucky loser. He doesn't have any response to Hagen, and the two Norwegians will move on. 2:42.8, 2:43.0. Those will be the lead times, and Shanava at 2:43.3 will be the first lucky loser. So photo finish with Anton Gron and Matthias Holbeck to see who moves on potentially as the fourth lucky loser. Klabo is nearly perfect. I mean, he just like, I don't even want to say nearly, because I think we all just, if we go back and kind of do the forensics on how he wins, you know, even you and I, who we see a lot of skiing, but a lot of times I miss what he's doing. I don't know if you catch it, but you caught it there. Like, you see that he goes wider than a lot of people do on corners that everybody's making a mistake on, but that everybody thinks it's common knowledge that that's the best way to go.
What I love about Klabo's story is we've heard a lot about how he got started in his younger years now, and you know, he wasn't the best, the most talented right off the get-go, and I think that challenged him to then become a student of the sport and to think more about technique, to think more about tactics, and that started very innocently, you know, when he was young, but I think he's carried that through. I got a chance to talk to some of his team during the Olympics and just how much attention he puts to all the fine details, and that has honed his body to a point where he can make those really micro adjustments, but then tactically he's got the savvy to match it.
Semi-final heat number 2 of 2. This is Jack Young of the United States, raced for Kobe Mules, 23 years of age. He's an Olympian, did not get a start there, as the American men took home more hardware than they have since 1976, 2 silver medals. Here's George Erson with 7. Big opportunity for him on his home snow. And Benji Moser, 28 years of age, from Saalfeld in Austria. Saalfeld and Ski Gymnasium worked with Walter Pickler back there when he was a junior. Pickler, former U.S. biathlon coach and German Olympic bronze medalist. He coached Moser in his youth. There is bib 24. Evan Nortug has the heavy cloak of the Nortug name to carry with him through his career. And Yannick Riebli, Switzerland, bib 12. 12th qualifier on the day.
Take your start position.
Point out Gus Schumacher finished in the 8th spot in the last semifinal. He did not really figure into that.
Sit
So Jack Young will take the Americans' hopes into this semifinal.
Well, if you're wondering how Jack Young got into this semifinal, Philip Skari actually finished ahead and should have been advanced, but he carried a yellow card into this race and then was given another yellow card today for obstruction. I don't recall exactly at what point it was, but because it's his second yellow card in the season, he was disqualified, and that allowed Jack Young to move into the semifinal.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have Keegan Randall in the booth, because I completely missed that. Great job, Keegan. Nice sleuthing on there. Skari should have been into the semifinal, but Jack Young got in instead. So here is Young now with a new lease on life and another opportunity. Those yellow cards, a lot of people have asked, what do those yellow cards mean? And it's like a yellow card in football. So but you carry it, as long as you have one, you carry it until you have another yellow card in which you will get a disqualification. In this case, Philip Skari's day was today.
See a little bit of tangling there. These guys are jockeying for position.
Leading Erson. Erson's tactic at staying at the front worked for him in the quarterfinals. He's applying it again here.
Vike's got nowhere to go.
Vike's stuck in the middle there. Bib 24 is Evan Nortug. Vike is number 10. And Vike.
But he got his point there when they all slowed down. No one wanted to lead into the downhill, and so Vike was able to push.
You didn't look too certain he wanted to be there though. When he looked left and right.
Well, if you don't get momentum going into that downhill, then leading is definitely really tough. But the other guys also didn't start into that hill with momentum, so that brings everyone together right now.
Very tight proximity, 4 wide. Everybody trying to skate, but not a lot of room for everyone to push. So Nortug gives up a little bit of space to Moser as Ersson leads into the finish. And the final turn, Rebley marking him in second. Nortug and Vike almost tangling in that turn. Ersson tucks skates for home. Meanwhile, Evan Nortug and Yannick Rebley. Oh, actually,
Benny Moser coming up the outside.
Moser throws his foot at the line, and I think Moser gets it. It'll going to be a Central European upset of the Scandinavians as Ersson and Nortug get supplanted in the last second by Benji Moser and Yannick Rebley. Wow. Moser looked done on the final climb. It looked like he wasn't going to have an answer. He comes roaring back and nearly wins the heat.
Well, in these sprints, I mean, if you have the ability to recharge, you can be done on a hill. And if you just get that draft, that extra chance to catch your breath, so much matters in this final 100 meters and how you build momentum off of that final corner. So if we get a replay of how he accelerated, he just waited for the right moment, and he could have been blocked out, but he had enough space to get through.
And I think it's telling that we've never seen anybody come up and snatch that top spot or a qualifying spot in the last second from the inside lanes. It's all been on the far lanes against the fence.
Yeah, because if you have to come in too tight to that, you lose momentum instead of building it. Moser stayed outside the whole time, so he had the direct line on this hill, carried momentum up this climb.
The lucky losers come from the first heat. Chanava and Holbeck will join Klabo, Rebley, Chanava, and Moser as lucky losers.
I think Nortug might have also been paying attention to Ersson to his right and not noticed that Moser had come up on the left.
So Moser in a position to get his second career of his podium of his career. He had a podium earlier this season in the 5K Master. Jack Young finishes 6th on the day. And, Jack Young will be planning behind Schumacher. Schumacher, I believe, will get 10th on the day. Or maybe even 9th. It's faster than Ersson and Nortug. But there's your final. Just 3 Norwegians. But a nice diversity of Switzerland, Austria, and France in the final for the men.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see more nations into the finals because that means that everybody has a pony in the fight, but the skis are working out pretty equal. And
so Maya Dahlqvist is wearing a red bib, and she has 3 podium finishes, none of them victory. She's still the World Cup overall. Megan Fendrick in the second, she also has no victory. She's only 2 podiums, or she's also only 3 podiums in the sprint competitions this year. Fendrick has 1 in the freestyle, and Dahlqvist has 2 podiums in the freestyle. So not a lot to separate the 2 of them. And the actual point total is just 61 points. But in there as well is Johanna Hagström in this group. And she's just 29 points back of Fendrick in 3rd. And 90 points back of Dahlqvist in the lead. So these 3 athletes really, if they get points today, they're kind of they're fighting each other for those top 3 spots in the overall sprint standing.
You could see some slight movements today, but nothing that's really going to piggyback anyone ahead of the others. Of course, we've got just a couple sprints left.
Last time The sprint was held in the freestyle technique. It was 3 years ago, and this was your winner, the 13. Stavro Skistad. Johanna Hagström trying to win just her 3rd World Cup ever. With 12 podiums, 2 wins. And Lynn Svan, the Olympic champion. I don't think there's any doubt that she is probably the one to beat here today on paper and in most people's mind. But if somebody can do it and snatch the victory, this is an athlete who can. And then Nadine Fendrich for Switzerland. 7 World Cup wins in her career. Nicoletta Ridzik with 1 win and 2 podium finishes. 2 of those podiums this season in freestyle sprinting. She gets in as a lucky loser. Can she turn that into some hardware by the end of the day? Can she get in the top 3?
Take your
Men's final
position.
from Falun.
Set.
This is a great women's final shaping up. We've got Lynn Svan just carrying the form she won the Olympics in. Skistad, though, can she find the form? She dominates on this course when she's in the best shape. And then don't count out Dahlqvist and Rizdek, who are just such strong finishers. I think it's got all the drama you want for a final.
If you look at the season and you look at everybody in this final, this is a jam-packed star final. The hard on paper, this is almost nearly impossible to win. If Jonas Sundling was added to the mix, I think then you'd have probably the hardest final we've seen all season long in World Cup, Olympic, or any competition.
Well, and you do it on a course here that is so tactical. That really, I think, sets up a lot of different athletes in this race that race very different tactically.
You see Dahlqvist and Ridzik at the back of the group, and I think they have to wait for maybe one of these people at the front to kind of tire out over the course of the race, because they have no chance right now. Is Lynn Svan opening up a huge amount of daylight on Skistad. Skistad has to close if she wants to take the win. Nadine Fendrich 3rd, and everybody is completely strung out here, Keegan. They're absolutely on the red line.
Well, Lynn Svan won the qualifier by 4.6 seconds, so she had to know that she has the capacity to just ski away from the field today, and I think that is her smartest move here. But the
Also
fact that the rest of
here.
them are so strung out, this puts Skistad in a place she doesn't like to be in. She doesn't like to be leading at the athletes behind her.
Skistad actually in jeopardy of being caught by Nadine Fendrich and maybe Johan Hagström. Skistad not looking quite as strong. I think the start was a little fast for Skistad. She took it out fast, and then the Swede came by. Our Svan said, okay, you want to go fast? I'll go faster, and Skistad didn't have the answer. Lynn Svan well in control here. A good 30 meters of lead. Svan has opened up on Skistad. She said skis maybe a little bit faster as she closes up some of that gap into this uphill, but Svan made the move early. Will it pay off? Skistad moves up on her, though. It's not over yet.
Yeah, Svan needs to know that the Skistad is coming. She cannot relax too much here.
Fendrich has lost the pace. Is it enough for Svan to hang on? It's about 4 or 5 meters, and Skistad looks a little bit wobbly on her legs on that final corner, but she's making time on the Swede. Skistad moving up on the inside. Every move that has worked today has been against the fence, but Svan, the Olympic champion, hangs on for victory in Falun. Skistad second. Fendrich with a foot throw ahead of Ridzik for 3rd.
Wow, I think Svan, Svan made the race by breaking it open so early. I think she took just enough out of Skistad's legs to save her in the end there, but that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be 100 meters before the finish line.
Keegan, I think you're right. I think if Svan hadn't made that move and tired Skistad out, Skistad looked like she had enough power that probably would have beat her down the stretch if she hadn't done that. So Svan, the master tactician, likely won that race on great tactics and great fitness.
A little surprised that Fendrich wasn't able to get into Skistad's draft and get pulled up a little bit more with her. Not quite sure what happened there, whether it was the skis just weren't quite in it or she pushed hard enough over the top.
Yeah, I noticed Fendrich skis in the quarter and semi being a little slower on that downhill, so maybe that's part of it. I think that point you make is like a note I made to myself, and I forgot to mention at any of the other points in the race, but Fendrich's skis didn't look as good as the Swedes. So that's probably the big issue there. But that was a thriller. It was a great race.
Well, and that's what we like to see too, because again, this will be the World Championship course next year. So the athletes, you know, while doing well on the course the year prior doesn't necessarily make or break things, it's a great chance to test out tactics and strategies, and so I think this really sets up next year for an exciting World Championship race.
Falun puts a couple dozen victories into her resume, with this being her 24th win of her career. And she's 2 for 2 since the Olympics, 3 for 3 since Gold. So she's on a roll here. As she finished, she didn't race since between Davos and Gomes. She skipped all the races in there. So she skipped Toblock, all the Tour de Ski events, and Oberhof came in with a win to get ready for the Olympic Games. Won the Olympics and now has won in Falun for 3 straight victories this season. And obviously the most important being the gold medal of the Olympics, but it's nice to also know that you can win at home on the World Championship course for next season.
Well, and for sure the Olympics is the big carrot of the season, and it feels good to win, but I think this final month of World Cup is also what sticks in your mind. So if you can build off of the Olympics and have strong performances, that just sends you into the preparation season with confidence and enthusiasm. I think that is going to be, it's going to be great as Lynn Svan kind of continues to get herself back on track. And but what I think this is also setting up is we still have 3 more sprints left this season. We've got 2 more skate sprints and a classic sprint in Drammen, and I think that means we're going to have some really good head-to-head action to carry us through the end of March.
And Svan clearly in top form. I think the other thing that we should talk about is that Lynn Svan has seen probably more adversity than any athlete of her caliber that I've ever seen. She is the Olympics. It was her first Olympics. She has missed the World Championships and Olympics for the last 4 straight years, and she finally gets to race at the Olympics, and she wins the first chance she gets. And she wins again here in Falun, and that one is on an upturn, an uptick in performance, and I don't know if anybody can stop her. Lynn Svan, your winner. Skistad second, and Fendrich on the podium again in third. It's going to be an exciting, if you look at where Maya Dahlqvist finished today, it's going to be a very exciting race for that Crystal Globe. It's Dahlqvist and Johanna Hagström, who are both in that fight, finishing 5th and 6th. They're both the worst situation they could have had in this final, but they got to the final at least.
Yeah, for Dahlqvist, she's going to lose some points to Fendrich in that. And the margin going into today was only 61 points. So with 3 more sprints still to go, there's still plenty of room for some movement in that top 3 to go for that sprint Crystal Globe.
But Svan is a ways back because she just hasn't raced enough. The points are cumulative, so if you don't show up, you don't get any points. And Svan's point total is coming into this. She was C5. She was over 200 points back coming into this. She was 222 points coming into this behind. So that'll the win today will take some points up. But I think
Lynn, you had to pull out of the team sprint in the Olympics because you were sick, but here you're back with a bang. How was this?
Yeah, it's so nice to compete here in Falun, and yeah, it's my second time doing the skate here, so I was really looking forward to try it before next year, so good day.
The Swedish king was there the whole Olympics to watch you, and he is here today. What does it mean for you girls that he's here to watch you?
The king? Yeah, it's nice. We need to make our marks when he's here, so it feels like he brings good luck to our team, so hopefully he continue to visit us.
Congratulations, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you.
Lynn Svan wrapping up her day in Falun with a smile and a victory, and it's nice to see it. And look at all the yellow cards in this group. Nobody has a chance, no chance for anybody here to even sneeze. Clabo's not a yellow card. That's the gold leaders bit, but everybody else pretty much in the semifinal or in the final heat in this Falun men's sprint they're walking on eggshells, we'll say.
And if we kind of think about the overall contest for the sprint globe in the men's side, it's a little bit it's more spread out. VK in second, Hagen in third. So Hagen has a chance to make up some points on VK. There's only 31 points separating them for that second and third position.
Hunter Evanson is here but did not advance to the finals. He's sitting fourth. Ben Ogden is not contesting today. He did not start. He's in fifth in the sprint standings. Falun is not here. He's sixth. Pellegrino had an early exit today, seventh. Of the men in this group, obviously Clabo is first ranked, and then the next best is Shanova. There's a big gap between Clabo and everybody else in the world, and then from VK down even to Pellegrino, it's over 100 points. Oh, Nortrig's in 11th, so Nortrig is the next best after VK. Benjamin Moser, pride of Saalfelden and Austria, trying to get his second World Cup podium today. Yannick Riebli for Switzerland. He's trying to win his sixth podium finish. No World Cup victories yet. Not likely to happen today against this man. Johannes Sosa Clabo. The absolutely best there ever has been, particularly at the freestyle sprint. 116 times World Cup winner.
Well, and on this course, I think he's won every race going back to 2017. The last time I saw, he was not in position number one.
It's a long time. The superlatives just don't capture him. There's one man who has beaten him in an even fight is Shanova, but it's been years. And then Matthias Holbeck, the smiley young 22-year-old in Div 11, seems just psyched to be there, and the youthful innocence of his position just evident in his smile.
Take your start positions. Set.
The men's final from Falun, FIS World Cup Cross Country, stop number 7, period 3. The 20th of 28 total races on the season. The 8th of 11 sprint races unfolding before your eyes. And at the front is number 2, Lucas Shanova of France. Shanova was 4th last time they raced a freestyle sprint on this course way back in 2023. That was, of course, won by Clabo. Pellegrino was 3rd, Falun was 2nd. Neither of them are in the final. Pellegrino was eliminated earlier today, and Falun was not on the start. So, Shanova and Clabo at the front of the field again.
Moser hanging at the back, but he did that more in the semifinals. So let's see what we have. All right, let's watch Clabo's line on this hill. He goes a little bit more inside on this one.
Into the second climb now. It's Shanova and Clabo and Hagen. Hagen just will not be denied. VK got Oscar Opstad VK, the bronze medalist who got the final Olympic team spot for Norway over Hagen and caused a stir in Norway. There's a little bit of a build-up between those two, and Hagen moved on where VK did not by finishing second in his semifinal to Clabo. So now Hagen is marking the two best sprinters, freestyle sprinters probably of a generation. And over a decade older, almost a decade older than him is Shanava. Hagen glides up on the 2 leaders.
Moser coming back into it as well.
Moser in a 4th now, but Klæbo showing the best line. Look how he carries his speed almost in a complete arc around both those turns. And the best of the rest is Lars Hagen, because Klæbo is proving to be untouchable yet again. Hagen in the nether regions between him and the rest of the field, but it will be Klæbo once again, your victor. Hagen 2nd, and Benji Moser gets his 2nd podium of his career in 3rd.
Shanava just really running out of gas on that final 100 meters. I mean, it's so hard to lead into that downhill, and I think he just doesn't have that gear to challenge Klæbo like he's had in the past.
You could see that he was running out of gas there as well in the final climb, that he just didn't have that blistering speed that he's famous for. And Shanava reports have been that he struggled with motivation this year, that period where he didn't train at all and just kind of let go, and found some motivation late in the year and got his training back on track, and certainly in good shape, but not in the championship shape that we've seen him at his best, that we give him his best fight. Klæbo remains in about his 10th year of perfect fighting weight.
The streak continues.
Yeah, I was just trying to think as we came on the show earlier today. I thought that who could we liken him to? Is he Michael Jordan? Is he Tiger Woods? Is he Wayne Gretzky? I think he's at least in the same category if you were to put the popularity of cross-country skiing at that level. Of course, he's popular in smaller countries, but he's at least as dominant as everybody, as those people were in their sports.
Yeah, I think Tiger Woods strikes me as a good comparison, because Tiger Woods was so good and so dominant young, and then had to hold at the top. And, you know, as an individual sport athlete, you know, you only rely. I mean, obviously Jordan and Gretzky, they make a huge impact, but they play on a team. So when you really put them out front and it's individual, the fact that Klæbo has been at the top and has managed to stay there with the pressure and expectation, it's very impressive.
I think it's a great analogy. I think you're right. I think the golf brings a pretty good analogy to Klæbo and Tiger Woods, in that how hard it is to win in a sport mentally and physically. All the things you need to put together, from your coordination and ability to mimic and create great technique. Tiger Woods was a spectacular technical player. He was also physically better than anybody in the field at his game. He worked out harder. He was fitter. He had better swing. He had a better mental game, and that's what made him so dominant. If you compare the two of them, Klæbo, everything that makes Klæbo great are the same details that made Tiger Woods so much better than the people he competed against at his best.
I think it's also been a great comparison, is the fact that Tiger Woods changed the game of golf, the way in which you play. You know, like you said, some of the technical aspects, and there just was this era of, you know, Tiger Woods and just trying to come close. And with Klæbo, I think some of the technical ways that he's changed the sport, people are trying to mimic it. They're trying to mimic the tactics. So you can see dominant athletes that don't necessarily like change the technique of the sport. I think they've really done that. So.
And then you look at, he's winning these races at almost the same ease that Tiger Woods is winning tournaments at his peak as well. You know, winning by 5-6 strokes, where he was, you know, coming down the final 9, it wasn't even a challenge because he had a 5-stroke lead on everybody. And, very similar here.
I think what was tough for Tiger Woods later in his career is just like his body, you know, had a hard time holding up to that strain and stress. So I think for Klæbo, if he can keep his body going, and it sounds like he has a great team around him that, you know, really helps pay attention to any little thing that builds up and keeping good balance in the body. But I think that's going to be the key for him going forward. And then too, finding the balance in his life. You know, when you've winning at the top, it's hard to stay there. So it's impressive that he's kept kind of the focus and kept his cool, and of course coming off as the most successful, you know, the only athlete to win 6 gold medals in a Winter Olympics.
And right behind him is Lars Hagen, who in his inaugural season on the World Cup, he has now amassed 4 podiums coming today. He's got a win from Oberstdorf earlier in the freestyle sprint, third place in the 5-kilometer mass start in Tour de Ski, and also second in the sprint finals of the Toblock opening Tour de Ski stage. Hagen again on the podium second. And Benjamin Moser gets his second podium of his career, and he is thrilled.
Yeah, it's got to feel very good for Hagen. Not being picked for the Olympic team, watching VK win bronze, who kind of was his closest competitor, but continues to really show strength. Won the last skate sprint in Oberhof, and now second to Klabo here.
Well, the last thing I heard you said was, I don't think I will make it to Falun, but here we are. How was the sprint final?
I mean, it was a hard final, but I think after the last day in the Olympics, I managed to have a good party, and I think that helped for just being able to come here. So I think that was crucial.
So the party helped with the shape as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know what I'm talking about.
How are you feeling now then, with like 8 races left of the season?
I mean, it feels good. I like to compete, and it's always fun to race here in Falun. It's always a great atmosphere, and to be able to start the weekend now with the win is amazing. So already looking forward for tomorrow.
Good luck for tomorrow, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, both literally and figuratively, there's not a lot of hair to let down for Klabo, but he lets it down, and I think the party is probably a good thing for somebody who is so buttoned up like Klabo.
Well, I think fascinating is that for Klabo, he has been so good, but he has paid that attention to detail. He's built such a good foundation that now he's to the point where he's recognizing that the next level for his performance is staying happy as a human being. Is to not be so buttoned down that you just implode from the inside. Whereas you have other athletes who maybe don't have the talent, haven't put as much attention to detail, that feel like as they get later in their career, they just want the results so bad that the focus gets narrower and narrower. And sometimes that can make the difference and push you over into the next level of performance, but sometimes that's how you implode. So it's cool to see that Klabo, he's put in the work. He continues to still be very disciplined, but he can also have a little fun with it too.
It's good to see. We get a recap of the women's final, the winner being Lynn Svan. But we saw the overall World Cup standings, and things tightening up a little bit between the 1 and 2 in the world standings of the sprint competition, as Maya Dahlqvist came into this Falun World Cup with a 61-point lead over Nadine Frederick, and she now drops to 42 points, with Frederick getting the podium today. Dahlqvist finishing 5th. So that's some interesting point changes and point totals to watch as we move into the final 3 sprints of the season. Final one coming in is a freestyle sprint in Lake Placid, New York. On the 21st of March. We hope you'll join us there if you are a fan of cross-country ski racing in the United States. The World Cup is coming to Lake Placid, and you're going to want to be there if you want to get some goosebumps and celebrate Jessie Diggins' final World Cup of her career. It's going to be a great 3-day weekend in the last weekend of March. Mark your calendars.
We hope we get some more finishes like this.
Yeah. So we hope for mark your calendars for 20th, 21st, and 22nd of March in Lake Placid. It's about 5 hours north of New York City. You're flying to Montreal, Burlington, or Albany, or just drive your car from wherever you are in North America. And if you're from Europe, all the more reason to come check out the final World Cup in Lake Placid.
Yeah, they will stay here and come to Lahti, Drammen also.
Ladies and gentlemen, cross-country ladies representing First Movement awarded by National Center, Municipal Council, and Maria Kraft Henderson, Chairman of the Swedish Ski Association, Mr. Nico Röstid from Korea. Sixth place from Sweden, Johanna Hallström. Fifth place, also from Sweden, Maja Dahlqvist. Fourth place from Germany, Coletta Rytzek. In the podium, third place, representing Switzerland, Nadine Fendrich. Second place and runner-up from Norway, Kristine Stavås Skistad. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the race, the Olympic champion from Sweden, Linn Svan.
Tack. Tusen tack. Tack. Oj, tack. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Publiken, stora applåder, Linn Svan, Kristine Stavås Skistad, Nadine Fendrich, Coletta Rytzek, Maja Dahlqvist, Johanna Hallström, Nina Borgård for the sixth place today. Thank you, girls, and good luck tomorrow in Seattle for those of you coming tomorrow. Vi ska alldeles strax fortsätta med herrarnas skidåkning. third place from Switzerland, Yannick Rive. Number 4 from Norway, Mathias Holbeck. And the podium, third place from Austria, Benjamin Moser. Second place and runner-up from Norway, Lars Heggen. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the 108-time winner of the World Cup from Norway, Johannes Høstlund Grebo.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Super gratuliere. Danke. Danke. Dankeschön.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last round of applause. Johannes Høstlund Grebo, Lars Heggen, Benjamin Moser, Mathias Holbeck, Yannick Rive, and Lukas Shanava. Congratulations, guys, and good luck tomorrow. And to all of you at Lundet, you are very welcome back tomorrow for the skiathlon races here in the World Cup. Thank you very much for coming. Drive safely home and have a wonderful evening.
Ja, då är det dags för oss att tacka för idag. Vilken fantastisk dag vi har haft, Peter.
Eller hur? Det är till och med att solen tittar fram en stund en bit på dagen. Jag är mitt på
machen.
Ja,
Wir machen jetzt für dich einen Sattel.
Ja, Wahnsinn. Danke.
Ja, sehr gut.
Now we're ready.
Benny, herzliche Gratulation. Was für ein Bombentag, ein Resultat mit dem Podium. Wie geht's dir?
Ja, ich bin eigentlich ein bisschen sprachlos, muss ich sagen. Also das große Ziel war natürlich einmal das Finale schaffen im Sprint, die Top 6, das habe ich auch noch nie geschafft. Mein bestes Ergebnis da war 7. oder 8. vorher. Von dem her, ja, jetzt habe ich das geschafft und dann im Finale, dass ich dann, ja, ich war schon 6. Dann habe ich gedacht, das wird jetzt